systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What is going on, Ship It Nation YouTube station? Back Wednesday, nighttime baseball and day baseball. Good luck to all of those that loaded up on that Wrigley game. Conforto hitting bombs, Swanson hitting 2 bombs. You got Sung hitting a bomb. I mean, just home runs galore across that early slate. James Wood just hit a home run. So, yeah, that's kind of the nature of the slate here. Again, tonight, Gyiraszin pitching horrendous tonight. We have some super high ownership on one guy in particular that feels pretty fragile to me, but it's very hard to obviously get away from him. And we got a hot and humid weather in Sacramento, in Milwaukee, in Kansas City, in Atlanta, and Coors Field, all to talk about here. We'll do our best to break it down. 7 games to talk about. And, yeah, bring you in, man. Happy Wednesday. What's going on, brother?
Yeah, it's hot as balls around here in Michigan, that is for sure. I'm sure everywhere else. This morning I had to wear jeans to work, and that was like half torture. It's bad I had to put socks on, let alone fucking jeans. It was just terrible, Nades. But, yeah, we got 7 games. 1 game different over there on FanDuel. At least we got 2 decent pitchers with a heartbeat, Wheeler and Skeens. So that makes it a little bit better. But, yeah, I mean, we got some tough ones here. Yesterday we had some pretty good pitching. Today, not so much, but I want to give a shout out to our member Michigan man who turned $81 into it's almost $7K yesterday over there on FanDuel. Took down the Grand Slam by like 15 points. He absolutely smashed. Had some cubbies with a couple of Rays, and then had Fernando Tatis in there. But congrats to him. Always good to see our members in that Discord. Excited in the morning. It's always fun to wake up to that, Nades. But you know what? You got to start over again today. You can celebrate a little bit, maybe spend some of them fun coupons. But the good thing is, win or lose, you get to start over again today. So, Nades, let's dial us up some winners here today.
Yeah, let's dial us up some winners as the Cubs are at 13 runs in 5 innings there in that Wrigley win game. So throw everything we said about the win game at Wrigley out the window. Day baseball, day wind is much different, obviously, and it was like 100 fucking degrees in Chicago there as PCA stays hot and just hits a 3-run shot right now. So kudos to everyone who slammed some Cubs like myself on that early slate. But yeah, let's go ahead and bring on our slate station here and talk about the main slate here, Gyiraszin. Pitching, very gross overall. I'll give kind of a broad slate overview in terms of what the dry run is saying, and then we'll break down pitching. We'll go just the entire pitching slate overall, just because there's not really a top tier and a lower tier really. With only 7 games, 14 arms, a lot of them are cross-offs. With being how bad it is overall, but the dry run is Imai at 79%. Drohan at 54%, and then Charlie Barnes at 26%, Taj Bradley 22%, Max Meyer at 19%. Those are the only pitchers that are getting used in terms of the dry run. Only those 5 pitchers with, surprise, 82% Miami Marlins stacks, and then Tampa Bay, and then everybody else. So the chalk definitely seems to be Imai with Drohan. The spend up Miami 5 stack with some value or one-offs Caminero from the Tampa side. So Tampa minis, Miami 5-man stacks with Imai and Drohan is how the slate shakes up. So that's kind of what you're up against when you're building lineups and looking to kind of get off the common build, if you will. In terms of pitching, Gyiraszin, obviously I hit on Imai and Drohan at 7K and 7,300 projections-wise. Those are the 2 best arms on the slate. You get Max Meyer, who has some talent, been solid. He's 8,800, highest price guy on the slate. Also pitching in Coors Field, which does downgrade him overall. Shane McClanahan, we just don't know what his pitch count leash is going to look like. I don't expect more than 80 pitches at the kind of ultimate maximum there. And He's 8,500 against a low strikeout Royals team in that weather there. So I don't really have a lot of interest in him. He will be low owned though. Taj Bradley, I think, is pretty interesting play. He's not gonna be sneaky by any means. Going to be right there next to Imai and Drohan as kind of the three-headed race in terms of ownership between those guys. Meyer would be the fourth guy behind them. And then any other guys in here that you can pull out? Are you going to mess with the $4,000 Charlie Barnes, which we don't really know what his pitch count is going to look like? Saber has him at 83 pitches. I'm not sure if that's what he's going to actually go out there and throw, but he's projected for right around 11 fantasy points at 4K on a slate where we want to spend up 4 bats. The Brewers are in a good spot again. Obviously, you have Coors Field. You have the Dodgers in that West Sacramento game. You got Caminero, who seems to hit 6 home runs every time he's on the slate. So talk to me. How do you see the pitching slate here overall? It's a pretty gross one.
Yeah, it's like taking too many gummies and throwing up, Nades. It's just not very good at all. So, I mean, you pretty much said it. There really isn't much choice. The only good thing is I'm playing on FanDuel. At least I can choose between Wheeler and Skeens and only have to pick one of them. And Amai would be about the only other guy I'd even think about playing over on FanDuel. But, over on DK, the bad thing is you got to pick 2 of these jabronis. So basically the way I look at it is you got Meyer up at top, who is pretty good. I mean, the knock on him is going to be, he's out there in Coors Field, which obviously we're going to worry about. And then, you look at Meyer, what he's sitting there looking at as far as his control issues that he has to the left side is very concerning. I mean, he's at a 12% walk rate to the left side. He is at a 29.5% strikeout rate to the left side. So, you look at the top of the lineup there for the Rockies isn't really that patient. McCarthy, Moniak, and Goodman. So I'm a little torn on Meyer. I mean, you're going to pay $8,800 for him. I don't really mind it. I feel like if it's going to be an ownership thing and Amai and Drohan are going to get most of the ownership, I think I like Meyer even more just from a 29% strikeout. If he can get his walks under control in the one start, we don't need him in one start, right, Nate? So I feel like, we could take a shot on Meyer. I mean, I feel like he'd be a guy that I could play. McClanahan, as you said, he's going to be on a leash, got a low strikeout team with Kansas City. I leave him in my pool if I was MMEing, but if I'm playing a couple teams, I'm not going to be looking at McClanahan. Bradley, as you mentioned, I think is interesting pivot. If you look him, against Meyer, you do get a little bit. You get a $500 savings. He has a lower walk rate. Doesn't really get beat up all that much. I just don't really like the strikeout matchup he's got here. I'd leave him in my pool. I'm not really interested in Ginn out there in Sacramento. Lugo, I don't really want to fool with. Abbott hasn't really been that good. I really like a Milwaukee team. Amai, I think's in a good spot. And we talked about playing Amai last time out, and he wasn't really that highly owned, Nate. And, he came out and did a really good job for us this last time out. So I think his last 2 starts, the dude's had 35.7 and 29.9 points, 21 strikeouts his last 2 outings, Nate. I mean, that's why he's going to be 73% owned today, and rightfully so. I think on a slate like today, it's probably something that I really don't even want to fool with. I'd just jam him in and deal with it. McGreevy, I'm not really interested against an Aladdin team. Drohan, I could see playing, as you mentioned. He's fairly cheap. The Reds do have some strikeouts in that matchup. They do hit lefties fairly decent, but I think with the strikeouts they have here, Ellie De La Cruz is a walking strikeout. So is Eugenio and Marte. Those guys are walking strikeouts. So I do like that. But nothing I really love, to be honest with you. I mean, it's fucking gross today. And you mentioned the guy down at the bottom, Barnes. I'll tell you what, Nades, if somebody told me I guarantee he gets 80 pitches, I'd lock him in on every damn team I had. I'm not even joking. I mean, not with what we got in the pitching slate today and pay $4,000, knowing we want to get up for some bats today. Like, if you're telling me he's going to get 83 pitches and only get 11 points, like, that's kind of fucked up. Like, I think he'd do better than 11 points if he gets the 83 pitches. So I think Barnes, for me, I mean, it's just, what are we going to get? You look at what he's had here. I mean, he's only had 1 inning, 3 innings. He went 12, 13, and 62 pitches. So I'm a little concerned about that 83 projection. But, damn, if that's the case, like, I really like Barnes. I didn't see him projected that high of a pitch count. So if that's going to be the case, I think Barnes would be a guy that I definitely could lean on. Gallen or Freeland, I can't even think about going there. I mean, it gets pretty gross down at the bottom, but Amaya really stands out. I think you need to play him. I think Mayer is the guy that I might try to get a little bit different. But, I mean, go to Mayer instead of – you go to Barnes, you're saving $4,800. I mean, it basically gives you whatever bats you want. So, to me, I think that'd be the way I'd kind of look at it today, Nades. I think Barnes would be the guy that I'd look at. If he's going to get even 75 pitches at 4K, I think I could stomach that. So, interesting kind of slate here. Pitching's just nasty. Get out the liquor bottle today, boys, if you got to pick two pitchers, because I feel like that's the way it's going to be over here on DK. But, man, it's tough sailing today. But I do think Amai is going to be really high owned, and rightfully so. The dude's been lights out his last couple starts.
Yeah, so I'm just looking into Barnes here. So in his last minor league start was the 25th. He is expected to be recalled from their OKC club, right, Oklahoma City, after they sent down Wyatt Mills. So looking at him in his last start, he went, let me see, how many pitches did he throw? He went 5 2/3, gave up 3 runs, 3 strikeouts, 1 home run, a 3.67 ERA. I mean, you're not as shitty as the pitching is on this slate. I mean, he's still at least stretched out in the minors. Looking at his recent starts, he's going. I mean, he in his last start, like I said, 5 2/3. Start before that, 4 2/3, 4 innings, 5 innings. In June. So his 4 starts in June, he's gone at least 4 innings minimum. If you can get 4 innings out of him at 4K on this freaking slate, I might take a shot on one of the best strikeout matchups in baseball, right? So I'm not saying he's a good arm. It is a lefty throwing. He is a lefty throwing. So the A's are obviously a little better, or do have some power, like I said, against lefties overall. But you look at them, they got a 27% strikeout rate over the last month against left-handed pitching. So I don't really care how good this guy is, how shitty this guy is. He's $4,000. And if we have any sort of better clarity that he is actually going to be the guy, it's still TBD on MLB.com, but I do expect at least Sabres kind of projecting him to be the guy. I think he makes some sense on this slate just with how bad the pitching is. But, yeah, I agree with you. MI feels like a hard to ignore spot overall. Looking at this Twins lineup here, there's no Buxton in the lineup again, which does help him. This Twins lineup, they have been better as of late. It's just in retrospect to the slate, I mean, I just don't know how it's pretty hard to get away from MI. It's kind of how I see it, even at the ownership there. The other guys I do like, I think Drohan's really interesting here, 5.5K prop. Slight juice the under. The Reds do strike out a lot. They do have a lot of power as well against left-handed pitching. But Drohan, I think, is a solid pitcher, about a 24% K rate arm to both sides of the plate. Even he's actually better against righties. So guys like Sal Stewart, that's a walking strikeout. Marte, that's a strikeout. Suarez, Stevenson. I mean, he's got 4 bats in that lineup that are 30+% K rate, where he's actually better against, right? He's more actually reverse splitsy in terms of strikeouts. He's much worse against the lefties in terms of strikeouts than he is the right side, right? So I'm not too worried about that. I think he would be overall my second favorite pitcher on the slate behind MI. Taj Bradley, I'm in on him. 8,300 on the other side. I think you can obviously pair both of those guys together. As long as he can not do what Joe Ryan did and or have Caratini fucking challenge a pitch when the Astros have their best hitter at the plate, Yordan Alvarez, with the bases loaded. He would have got out of that inning before Yordan then says, hold on, let me hit this ball over the fence for a grand slam. So those 3 guys, it's hard to really get away from MI, Bradley, and Drohan. Max Meyer, I think, is the spend up to be somewhat contrarian off the other 2, right? The Taj Bradley, MI. I just don't think people go even up to Taj Bradley as much as they do play MI and Drohan, right, at 7,300, 7K. Max Meyer does have a ceiling. I think the Rockies are also super interesting in terms of hitting, just in that ballpark, obviously, that we know. You look at them over the last 30 days, they're actually it's not a great strikeout matchup by any means, but Meyer at least has potential. He has good strikeout stuff. 5.5K prop, minus 149 on the over. So in terms of props on the slate, he is up there amongst the best overall, and he's going to be lower owned than the other guys around him and Drohan, Bradley, and Imai. So Max Meyer, I think, is really interesting. The other guy that you didn't really hit on that I do have a little interest in is Andrew Abbott. Even against my Brewers, I don't think Abbott's a great pitcher by any means, but he does have a 4.5K prop. It is juice to the under. I understand that. It's just the Brewers are cold right now. They are. It is what it is. They scored some runs last night, but it's not like they were earlier this year. And the Brewers historically are just not as good against left-handed pitching as they are right-handed pitching. You look at Abbott, 30% K rate to the left side. Right side, he's obviously terrible against. But Churio hasn't been doing that great right now. Contreras, he's still going to see. Well, I guess he's only going to probably see 2 lefties in here, which does hurt it. But as an unowned tournament option, as a pivot right there in the same range, sandwiched between Drohan and Imai, I think he's the other guy that you could kind of grab the whiskey bottle, like you like to say, Gyiraszin, and play. But realistically, it's Imai, Bradley, Drohan, Max Meyer are the guys, and then punting all the way down to Charlie Burns or Barnes if we get more clarity that he is actually going to be the guy. That's kind of how I see it. I don't really want to mess with McClanahan's leash. I'm not playing Zach Gallen. I think he's horrendous. Trevor McDonald, 6,700, not against Arizona. I'm not messing with that. McGreevy, I think, is terrible. Even against the scuffling A's or the Braves team. That's the argument I guess you could make, Gyiraszin, is the Braves have been absolutely atrocious as of late. We just saw it with Liberatore. Liberatore looked like an ace yesterday against this team. We've been trying to target Liberatore, McGreevy, these guys for weeks now, and they just continue to be solid enough real-life pitchers out there, and the Braves have been absolutely horrendous. Ideally, it's a really good spot for the Braves lefties, but as bad as they are, can you stomach playing a Michael McGreevy at 7,200 on the slate? What do you think? Just looking to get off of the obvious the obvious pitching plays of the 4 guys up at the top. Any thoughts on him?
You know, I mean, Atlanta has been the absolute worst in baseball the last 2 weeks. I mean, shit, their OPS or slugging percentage is 299, Nades. Like, that's terrible. 552 OPS in the last 15 days. That's pretty bad. So not interested in really playing any Braves because of that. McCreevy, on the other hand, I don't know. It's just hard. I guess on a slate like today, I mean, I don't feel like he has any strikeout upside. So, I mean, if you're just kind of trying to eat outs, maybe I'd consider that against a Braves team that obviously can't see the ball very well right now. So I don't mind that, I guess. Now that you think of, we talk about it, it's just not something. I'd rather play Drohan, obviously, and Imai, who's down there. I wouldn't call it a great pivot, but I'd call it a pivot. How about that?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I mean, his out prop, McGreevy's out prop sitting at 16.5, juice to the over. So they're expecting 6 innings out of him, or at least 5 innings out of him, right? So I think if you really wanted to kind of stomach that, I don't think it's the worst play as a pivot, but it's strictly, I think you would use him if you're going to a team like the Marlins, right? When everybody's going to the Marlins, they're the highest owned stack on the slate, or even the Rays for that matter, right? If you're playing the more popular offenses on the slate, I think that's where you would play like an Andrew Abbott or a McGreevy, right? Outside of that, I find it hard to navigate away from kind of the Imais, the Bradleys, the Drohans, the Myers of the world, and then Charlie Barnes. Like I said, if we do get clarity that he is actually going to be the guy there, and you're hoping for around 80 pitches at 4K on a slate where pitching is horrendous, I'll just punt off the position and just hope that he gets me positive points. It's kind of how I see that play there. All right, Gyiraszin, pretty gross. I'm glad we can move on and talk hitting, where it's going to be much more fun to talk about. Obviously, when pitching is that horrendous, the offense should be coming in bunches, but it's also pretty hard to kind of just pick out one great spot Obviously, outside of the obvious Marlins, who've scored 24 runs in the last 2 games in Coors Field. They had the best record in baseball in June, so they're hot right now. They're facing Freeland, who's been absolutely horrendous this season. The issue that I have with the Marlins when we get there is the pinch hit risks that they have when they're facing any sort of lefty, regardless of who it is. So that'll be something to talk about. But the first game on the slate here is the Braves and the Cardinals. McGreevy, Ronaldo Lopez, two arms that aren't great by any means. They're kind of better. They kind of just been skating through real life instead of DFS stuff. Cardinals, I think you could get to if you wanted to. Ideally, it's a really good spot on paper for the Braves lefties in particular here. Going to be about 100 degrees in Atlanta. Wind, not really a factor. It's kind of blowing in to start the game, but this park is going to play slightly above average just due to the humidity and the heat in hot Atlanta out there. Braves, really good bullpen. Cardinals, not a good bullpen. So if I had to pick a side, it'd be plugging my nose and going back to these Braves lefties, and I'll definitely be probably over the field on these Braves lefties again. It is as bad as that sounds. It's just not going to take much, and these guys should be able to hit McGreevy. He's very bad against lefties. Michael Harris, Drake Baldwin. I know Baldwin's been horrendous since he's come back from the IL, but sooner or later you have to think he's going to figure it out. Maybe it's tonight. Who knows? But he's sub 10% owned at a slate where Shea Langeliers, Hunter Goodman, those guys are going to be quadruple the ownership of him. Ozzie Albies, Matt Olson. Nice thing about the Braves is you don't have to mess with the shitty guys. You don't have to play the Austin Rileys, the Jorge Mateos, the Yastrzemskis of the world. You can just play the top four good guys, Albies, Olson, Baldwin, Harris, if you wanted to, because ownership's not going to be there. Bad bullpen behind them. If the Braves can't do this, I don't know what's going on with them. I know they've been horrendous, and you don't like cold teams in baseball, but on this kind of slate, when you're eating more of the chalk pitching, I think this team fits the script of playing the chalk pitching differently than what the field is, than just going in and playing the Marlins and the Rays. Talk to me here.
I mean, you'd like to be able to play the Braves, but like you said, I mean, if I didn't know they're the worst team in baseball the last couple of weeks hitting the baseball, I'd probably would really like the Braves here against McGreevy. He doesn't strike out any of the lefties. We know they got a ton of power on the left side, so that's definitely something that I'd want to explore. I tell you though, I mean, out of the 14 teams we have, I don't even think I probably got them in the middle of the pack here today. So, I mean, hitting's pretty good today. This game total is sitting at a 9. I do prefer the Braves side over than St. Louis. Lopez probably get maybe one or two, maybe one time, probably even be lucky to get 2 times through that lineup. They haven't really let them go too long here in recent times. And then you're going to get that Braves bullpen that's really good. So I'm not interested in any cards. But, yeah, I mean, I'd put the Braves in play if I was playing a handful of teams. I mean, they got to break out sooner or later. I wouldn't use them on if I had 3 teams. I wouldn't be using any of the Braves, which normally I do play on FanDuel. But, yeah, I could see using them if you wanted to get a little deeper in the stacks. Like I said, I got them like maybe around 6-7 range.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree. I'm going to be overweight on my 20 max set, but they probably don't make either of my main teams is kind of how I see it. Just the way the slate shakes up, I think there's much better offenses, including this next game that we're going to talk about here, the Tampa Bay Rays, Kansas City Royals. In terms of weather in this one, going to be super hot. In Kauffman Stadium, you got wind blowing out at around 15 miles an hour. 97 degrees to start the game, 90 by the end of the game, still 12 plus miles an hour, blowing straight out to left center field. You got Shane McClanahan, who probably is capped at 5 innings, right? They're just really not going to push him. He is a good arm and does have talent there. The Rays also have a good bullpen. So Royals feel like a pretty tough sledding outside of home run hunting. Bobby Witt, you can always play. A Lane Thomas, a cheap Sal Perez. Carter Jensen's been red hot. I mean, he just what 21 games in a row after he hit a home run yesterday to extend his hitting streak there. Lefty, I don't love it, but McClanahan, like I said, is not going to probably go more than 5 innings. So you're still looking at least 3 innings of probably right-handed pitching coming out of that pen. Royals, I don't love for a stack, but I do think Bobby Witt, Lane Thomas, some power hunting righties. I think he could get to just with the hitting environment in there. The Rays do feel like a really good spot here. Rays, one of my top offenses on the slate. I know there's pinch hit risk with some of these guys like Victor Mesa, Seti Mullins, Palacios, Fiducia, some of these guys do have pinch hit risk, but I mean, the Royals bullpen sucks. Seth Lugo's terrible. I mean, I think the Rays are very, very interesting on the slate, and their ownership should be lower than teams like at least the Marlins for sure, especially when you go into full stack. I think the Rays are being used more at their salaries as kind of a secondary stack to the Marlins or to the Dodgers. But talk to me here. How do you see this one, Rays and the Royals? Really good hitting environment here.
Yeah, Lugo just has not been very good so far this year. I mean, he's getting beat up by both sides of the plate, especially in the hard hit range. I mean, he's almost at 10% to the left side, 11.5% to the right side. He's not getting any ground balls. His fly ball rate's pretty high to the right side, 34%. And you're going to run into a guy like Caminero, who's been smashing righties at a 402 Woba clip. Aranda's at a 399, Diaz 415. I mean, you got three guys with Wobas over pretty close to 400 at the top of that lineup. So yeah, you mentioned that bullpen's not very good. So I got the Rays up there. I'd probably have them like fifth or so in my list of teams. I actually do like Caminero. I think he's one of the top bats on the slate, but the overall stack I have ranked a little lower. But McClanahan, I mean, his last two starts on the road, he's gave up 3 homers both times. I know he's at home this time. The 2 starts at home, he was fairly decent. But I still think Bobby Witt's an excellent play. If you wanted a one-off shortstop, Lane Thomas, fairly cheap up there at the top of that lineup too. I could play. But really after that, I don't think, like you said there, I don't think I really want to play too much of the other bats. But the Tampa bats are definitely interesting. Caminero's just been out of this world so far this year. If he keeps hitting the way he is, Nades, that dude might be putting himself in conversation for an MVP award. The dude's smashing the shit out of the baseball. So I do have the Rays up there. I just don't like the full stack per se. But, I mean, there's going to be a few others here I like and a few other pitchers I'm going to want to pick on. But picking on Lugo has been pretty fun so far this year. But, man, not picking on Zach Gallen. I mean, Zach Gallen sucks. I mean, when we get there, he's just been god-awful here so far this year. Freeland hasn't been good. So there's a couple other spots here that I do like a little bit more. But picking on Lugo and that bullpen is definitely something that has been getting the job done for us so far this year. But overall, as a 5-man stack, I'm just not happy with the Rays, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, I like that. Next game on the slate here, the Twins or the Reds and the Brewers, excuse me. We're going to American Fam. The roof is going to be open. I did call the hotline before the show. Drohan, Abbott, 2 lefties taking the mound. Brewers do have a good bullpen. They're kind of taxed, but Ashby pitches every day, so I'm not really too worried about that. Abbott and the Reds, on the other hand, talked about having a little interest as a contrarian pitcher in Andrew Abbott. He's not a good arm by any means. You want righties. He's atrocious against righties. The issue is the Brewers do have a lot of their better hitters do hit from the left side. Churio, Andrew Vaughn, Gary Sanchez, Perkins, Contreras, those 5 righties there, I think, super interesting. And then you got 2 cheap ones, and Joey Ortiz, Cooper Pratt, that can get the job done at times, especially against left-handed pitching there. How do you see the Brewers here in retrospect to the slate? Though they could run. We've seen this exact same matchup last week. Abbott shit on us. Now it's back at home. Brewers have started to hit a little bit better. They scored some runs last night, got the job done. They won, 6-3, something like that. So nothing crazy when you got Coors Field and Sacramento on the slate. But less games tonight, kind of a more weird slate. Any Brewers and Reds interest for you here?
You know, I think the better spots for the Brewers are Sanchez and Vaughn especially, but I just get worried about the pinch hit risk there. I mean, and then you look at Abbott. I mean, when you look at him, he's at almost 44% ground ball rate to the right side. And then you're going to look at Jackson Churio against lefties, has almost a 68% ground ball rate. I mean, you're taking out one of the better hitters of the Brewers, which is kind of worrisome of the righties. So, but Vaughn, I think, is an excellent play today. I just don't know how many at-bats you're going to get out of him. I think that's a little bit scary. But, yeah, I mean, I don't mind it. I'm just concerned about what you're going to get out of the bullpen when you get this Reds bullpen, which isn't all that great. Drohan on the other side with some of these Reds, I mean, His K percentage has been is decent to the right side, 25%. He's not really walking too many guys. I think I'd leave the Reds alone, but I do think the Brewers would be a stack that, I might put the Brewers pretty close to what I have. I think I would have the Braves and Brewers in kind of a similar situation, Nades. I don't love it, but I see the upside there. I'm more concerned about the Brewers with that pinch hit risk than I think the Braves have. But I think the Brewers are in play. The Vaughn and Sanchez, I think, are good plays.
Yeah, I think Vaughn, Sanchez, Contreras, all three of those guys. Churio on paper would be really good, but this dude can't figure a way to hit the ball in the air right now for whatever it is against lefties. And the Reds do have a couple lefties in that bullpen for sure that are available. So you have to assume Vaughn probably turns into Jake Bauers at some point in this game, especially if the game is remotely close, obviously being into NL Central battle here. So this does bode well for seeding and obviously positional standings and stuff. So Brewers aren't going to just let this game slip if they can. So Bauers, you have to assume one of their better hitters comes in when a righty does come in, if a righty does come in out of that pen. So yeah, there is some risk there. Brewers, I have them above the Braves, but definitely not atop my board. I have a little bit more interest in the Reds than you in teams where maybe I go to an Abbott or maybe I go to a McGreevy or something instead of Drohan at that $7K price point. Playing guys like Spencer Steer, De La Cruz, Marte, who have an incredible amount of power against left-handed pitching. I know Drohan hasn't really allowed a lot of power and a lot of barrels overall, but on a short slate, full 9 at bats, above average hitting spot with 90-some degrees and the roof open in American. I think the Reds, this could be a sneaky spot for the Reds to kind of go off on a slate where nobody's been on them as of late. Everybody's been streamlining pitchers for a good reason, right? The Brewers pitchers have been chalked the last 3 days, including tonight. You could see the Reds pull one of those games where they kind of go crazy and break the slate, and it wouldn't shock me. But yeah, I definitely don't love it overall compared to some of the games we're going to get to. More of the same from this next game, though. Twins and the Astros here. Two of the better arms on the slate. I think you can definitely stack up both of these arms here. Roof's definitely going to be closed, obviously, in Houston. They're just not going to open that out there. It's probably 130 degrees outside. If you wanted to use the word leverage, I mean, MI could walk himself out of the game. If he doesn't have his control, I mean, his walk prop is sitting at 2.5. It is juiced to the under there, but it's still 2.5 walk prop in terms of the sports books. Cody Clemens, Caratini, Josh Bell, Brooks Lee, who's been really, really good. Larnach, it'd just be some of these lefties if you wanted to pick off any of them. As a leverage, probably takes 20-plus teams to get to some twin stacks, but I will have some twins just because the way the slate shakes up, and you do still have a really bad bullpen behind MI over there. But and then on the Astro side, it'd just be Jordan, Trammell, those two guys. Mainly Jordan, elite one-off, always on the slate, hit a grand slam last night at like 3% ownership. He's going to be the same here tonight. Nobody's going to really play him. He gets a better matchup tonight and if he can do it against Joe Ryan, he can do it against Taj Bradley for sure. So I think he makes some sense. Trammell, so the lefties are the only guys you really want. Loperfido, if he makes the lineup, I think he's a little interesting, but definitely not a great game for offense on either side here. Talk to me. How do you see this one?
Yeah, I don't really like either side for offense. I think Cody Clemens is interesting against Amai. I mean, Amai is more of a ground ball type pitcher. Cody Clemens got a decent fly ball rate. So I think Clemens is interesting. You can play Jordan against anybody, I think. I mean, Jordan's good. Even a lefty, I think Jordan is definitely in play. But I don't have any interest in any of the Houston bats against Bradley on this slate. But yeah, I think Clemens, maybe if you want a little bit of leverage on him, I think maybe that would be like the only guy I think maybe I'd play. Larnach's got a pretty good walk percentage. It's just he don't hit enough balls in the air for me against a ground ball pitcher.
Yeah, no, I like that. Takes us to Coors Field here. Obviously a really good spot to hit as it is every time it's on the slate. The weather's good here as well tonight. Again, no shock and no surprise there. Wind, not really a factor here tonight. Actually, the wind is kind of hurting. It's blowing in at around 20 miles an hour. But again, it's not a home run fest anyways in this park. And the Marlins don't hit home runs, and it doesn't really – I mean, they hit a couple the last 2 days, but most of the runs are scored just because of what Coors Field normally does anyways. Balls to the gap, big outfield, big dimensions, and the elevation. Obviously, ball travels. Marlins – have to look like the top stack in the slate again here, just on paper. The ownership is the only issue you have against them, and the pinch hit risk. So guys like Esteury Ruiz and Leo Jimenez being two of the biggest pinch hit risks for sure. Sanoa as well a little bit in that lineup. Those three guys for sure. I'd probably try and avoid having more than one of those guys in your Marlin stacks, just because that'll differentiate yourself a little bit when you are stacking this team, because a guy like Leo Jimenez is going to get slammed projections-wise at 3.2K at third base when you're building teams. Same thing with Ruiz at 4,100. He's going to be one of the highest owned bats on the slate, and he could only see 2 at-bats. So little things like that is what I like to do. The Rockies side, to me, though, is pretty interesting. Max Meyer, I think, is definitely going to pick up some ownership on the slate just because of how weak the pitching slate is overall. He is still pitching in Coors Field. The Rockies still have been really solid, especially over the last month against right-handed pitching. 260 ISO, 18% strikeout rate. Guys like Hunter Goodman, Rumfield, Corrosis, McCarthy, Castro, Freeman, all of those guys are all over a 158, most of them over a 250 ISO against right-handed pitching. Low strikeouts, good walks. They've been patient. I think the Rockies are super, super interesting on the other side of this game at no ownership. I mean, Rockies projecting for like sub 20% 5-stack ownership on a slate in Coors Field against the Marlins. I mean, I know it's Max Meyer, but I don't know. How do you see this one, Gyiraszin here?
I don't really want to pick on Max Meyer. The dude's been really good, man. I mean, he's not giving up any runs. The last time he gave up more than 2 earned runs was at the end of May. He gave up 5, and then you got to go back a few starts before that to even to get him to see. I mean, his control issues to the left side is his issue. I mean, he's got a 12% walk rate. So, yeah, I mean, if he's not getting the ball over the plate, he could get in trouble fairly quickly. But, I mean, he's just been pretty good at limiting the damage that's been done to him. I think Goodman would be an interesting bat to play. Moniak you could look at. I don't really have the Rockies up that high today, but the Marlins I actually have as my second favorite stack today. But, yeah, I think they're interesting, as you said, a little bit of pinch hit risk, but they've been really good there in Colorado. I expect kind of the same. They've been, just hitting the ball really well. Hot team, good park. Great hitting conditions. Sign me up. I really like the Marlins. And, yeah, I mean, even if you do, like you mentioned, leave a couple of those guys out with some pitch hit risk, maybe just throwing one of them, Ruiz, as you mentioned. But, yeah, I think the Marlins are definitely in play today.
Yeah, no, for sure. I definitely tend to agree, as do many. Takes us to Sacramento, Dodgers and the A's here. You got JT Ginn, who horrible against lefties, really good against righties, going up against the Dodgers, which doesn't bode very well for his success. Dodgers going to be lower owned than teams like the Rays and the Marlins. Dodgers have to be on top of my board again here. I love the Dodgers again tonight. I'd want to limit the righties overall. So I love Freddie Freeman, Ohtani, Max Muncy, if he's back in there, Tucker, Edman rushing, all the lefties. And then Mookie Betts has been one of the hottest hitters in baseball. Maybe he's back, Gyiraszin. Maybe he's figured it out. I know you love yourself some Mook. He's won you a lot of money over there on FanDuel, especially last year. Dodgers atop my list here again tonight. Rinse and repeat. And their ownership, just like it has been the last 2 nights, gets held in check because, number one, their salaries, and number two, the Marlins and the Rays. I think they're probably going to be a little higher owned than they have been the last 2 nights, but it's not much to worry about here. I think they're really interesting here. Ginn is not, like I said, not great against the left side. You got a bad bullpen behind him as well. That's pretty taxed overall. 2 of their guys unavailable. 2 of their long relief guys. So if stuff goes south in a hurry, for a guy like JT Ginn here, he just can't find the zone. He gets tagged up a little bit. they could leave him out there to dry against those lefties, or bring in some of those other lesser arms out of that pen. Talk to me here. How do you see this game, A's and the Dodgers?
Yeah, I do really like the Dodgers against Ginn. Ginn's not, I mean, his walk percentage is 12% to the left side. He's at an 18% K rate to the left side. So we know the Dodgers got some lefties. The only bummer part is me playing on FanDuel. I guess Shohei was supposed to start today, and they don't even have him in the hitting pool over on FanDuel. It looks like DK put him back in. So that kind of helps out a little bit. But, yeah, I mean, I think the Dodgers – I got the Marlins ahead of the Dodgers, but I got the Dodgers third overall as my stacks today. And it's just because Ginn does have a little bit more of a ground ball lean. So, I mean, you're just kind of looking at some of the fly ball percentages for the Dodgers. They do hit the ball up in the air as a whole. So, Muncy's at almost 33.3, Mookie 35%, Freeman 31, Ohtani 31, Tucker 32. So I do like how they get the ball up in the air. So I think that will help the Dodgers. You mentioned a bad bullpen behind them. So I think the Dodgers are definitely in play. If they weren't going up against it as a ground ball pitcher as much as they are with Ginn, I think I'd have them higher up than the Marlins. But I think the Dodgers are in a great spot here today. You're going to pay up for some of them bats. But, yeah, for me, I mean, maybe that's why you want to pay down a little bit in pitching. I think the Dodgers could be fairly popular just because I think – bats are going to be plentiful tonight with the pitching options we have. We have a few cheap pitchers with Amai, Drohan. So, yeah, I think the Dodgers will be fairly popular today.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to get played for sure, but they're going to, like I said, be behind the Rays, be behind the Marlins, and then there's some other teams too that are going to pull from each other. They're probably definitely third in retrospect to the slate, but there is only 7 games obviously there. So I definitely love the Dodgers for sure as well. On the A's side, don't really like them much, but Bolte, Shea Langeliers, I think 2 of those guys who hit lefties pretty well. Bolte's seeing a good baseball right now. He's 3.7K. Langeliers is a pivot off of guys like Hunter Goodman up there. I think he's pretty interesting. Jonah Heim, even a switch hitting cheap catcher. I think the A's, I much prefer the Dodgers side, though. Dodgers got a good bullpen. It's going to be more of a bullpen game anyways from the Dodgers side. So it takes the A's interest in terms of stacking kind of out of play for me. Last game on the slate is a good one, at least to my eyes here. Zach Gallen's been one of the worst pitchers, if not the worst pitcher in baseball. He is definitely probably even worse than Kyle Freeland on this slate for sure. Giants, full 9 at-bats here in Arizona. Obviously, the roof's going to be closed, but D-backs were the stack you needed last night. They definitely crushed. Obviously, they didn't outscore like Coors Field, but for sure in the night slate, they got the job done. They scored like 8 or 10 runs, something like that. Now they get Trevor McDonald. If you want to go back to some of the lefties, Marte's just red hot right now. He's one of the better plays in the slate, I think, at 4,800 at second base. Perdomo, Corbin Carroll, Moreno. Lourdes Gurriel hit a bomb last night. D-backs are starting to see good baseball right now. Giants do not have a good bullpen. Trevor McDonald is up and down. But the side I do like more here is the Giants. I love the Giants lefties for sure. Even the righties. I mean, Zach Gallen's been horrible to both sides of the plate all year. He has 0 strikeout ability to the left side, not much more to the right side. Gets hit super hard by the righties. I mean, Rafael Devers, Eldridge, you got to pick one of those. I think both look like really, really elite plays on the slate. Casey Schmidt's been good against righties this year. Jonah Cox, in his limited sample, he's decent. You got cheap guys like Drew Gilbert in there. I think the Giants are super, super interesting. Heliot Ramos has actually been really, really good over the last month in his limited plate appearances against righties. Sign me up. I think the Giants are one of my favorite stacks on the slate, and feels pretty gross to say when there's Coors Field and there's Sutter Health on the slate, but I'm not a believer in Gallen. I think Gallen's terrible, and I think he's extended his stay in the majors. Talk to me.
Yeah, I'm picking on Zach Gallen all damn day long. Go back and look at his last 30-day stats and just start to laugh. I mean, 7.8 strikeout percentage, 5.5 strikeout percentage to the left side. Like, really? Like, this dude's still pitching in the majors? Like, this guy's awful. He's getting barreled up by both sides of the plate. Ain't missing any damn bats. So I definitely like all these the Giants bats. I mean, if you don't like the Giants bats now, you might as well never like the Giants bats, the way I look at it. So, I mean, Gallen's just awful. So we're going to pick on Zach Gallen as long as the D-backs are going to keep rolling that clown out. So we'll be picking on him every start from now on. I can almost guarantee you that. So Gallen for me is somebody we're definitely picking on. I actually got the Giants, to be truthful, right up there with like the Marlins and the Dodgers. I think they're all in. I think they're in play today. Giants for me may go down as my favorite stack, especially because you're going to get them a little bit cheaper. I don't think they're going to be as high owned. You get to pick on Zach Gallen. I think it's a win-win all the way. Now on the other side, the Arizona bats against McDonald. I mean, yeah, maybe we'll pick on him with some lefties. I mean, his K percentage is at 17%. Don't mind that. His fly ball rates are just really low. He's not allowing any balls to get up in the air. So, a guy like Max Kepler, who's got a pretty high fly ball rate, maybe Marte, Corbin Carroll. I mean, I'd like to see a little bit higher. He's at 27%, but I don't really like the D-backs as much as I do the Giants, obviously, but Giants for me, one of the top stacks overall on the slate. Picking on Zach Gallen it just seems to be too damn easy.
And Dansby Swanson hits his third home run of the day against Rodolfo Duran. The Padres punted this game. It's out 22-3. Cubs shot Gyiraszin right in the foot with saying, "Hey,
well, that's because I'm not playing it." When these weather win games, I didn't play that shit. So yeah, it just seems like when I'm on them weather games, it's just a dud.
Yeah, I mean, PCA's got 28, Suzuki's got 32. Conforto, the wraparound Cub stack is shipping everything. I mean, Conforto 41, Amaya 20, Swanson 54, PCA 28, Suzuki 32. There's still no outs in the eighth inning, by the way. So, and then my guy Michael Busch, who's dragging down my freaking stack, has 5 fucking points. So yeah, good job, Michael Busch. Hopefully you hit a home run here in your second at bat of this eighth inning. But yeah. No, I like everything you broke down there. I love the Giants. They're probably my overall favorite stack on the slate. I'm with you there. That takes us to the end of the show. Your favorite pitching combination. I know you're going to have to plug your nose. And don't mention the FanDuel guys, because I know one of those guys is definitely going to be your preferred over this slate we have on DraftKings. But on DraftKings, your favorite pitching combination, your top 3 stacks, and then a home run call if you have one.
I think I would go Mayer and MI on DK, maybe even throw Drohan in there. And then if you want to throw Barnes in there too, you could do that. Favorite stacks, Giants for me, Dodgers for me. And I also am going to throw in the Marlins. And then as far as a home run call, I am going to go, let's see, try to make this a little bit more you know what? I'm going to just go Mookie. I'm going Mookie. Mookie's going to hit a home run today against JT Ginn.
All right, Mookie it is. I'm going to go Shane Drohan, Taj Bradley, and then I'll throw in Charlie Barnes in there as kind of the unowned sleeper at 4K. I mean, as bad as pitching is, I'll take a shot on a 4K pitcher. Again, do have to monitor. I'm not 100% certain he's going to get the start. But I am anticipating it. Beat writers are kind of anticipating it there. So do lay caution if you do plug your nose and play him like I'm going to in some teams. In terms of stacks, I got the Giants number 1, Dodgers number 2, and then I'll go Brewers and Rays as 3 and 4 overall. For my home run call, I'm going to go to the Rays. I'm going to go to one of the pinch hit guys, but he's hitting cleanup here. Victor Mesa, 3,100, hitting the heart of that lineup. I like my chances for him, especially against a guy like Seth Lugo with that wind blowing out almost 100 degrees in Kansas City. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It helps us out a ton. For Gyiraszin, I'm Nades. I will see you in 2 weeks as I'm gone all next week. So everybody have a safe and happy 4th of July. We'll see you when we're back. Peace.